Welcome back. It's Wednesday, which means we get to visit with our friend Michael Babcock at TMZ to get the scoop on today's hottest stories. Good morning, Michael.
Morning, Kelly and Jeremy. Thanks so much for having me.
I just thought of a great segment for the three of us.
Okay.
Because the viewers don't get to see what we chat about before we go on air.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call it Behind the Scenes with Michael Babcock. And it's all of our conversations that we have.
Yeah, we have some good conversations.
We do.
We really do. There's a lot to say. We don't have enough time to say it. But we want to find out what's happening in Hollywood. You got some good stories today. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, let's start with Demi Lovato. Remember, she has this big documentary, Dancing with the Devil, and it really dives deep into her near-fatal overdose, her near-fatal heroin and fentanyl overdose back in the summer of 2018. Remember, she has said that she was only 5 to 10 minutes away from death. That's how dire this situation was. Demi has talked about how she still suffers from the effects of that overdose, and not being able to see, at the time being essentially blind, now still not having perfect vision. So anyway, last night she has this big COVID-friendly premiere of the documentary. So she was at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, and she was in a room that had a really nice balcony that was overlooking this really huge screen. And she had people come and watch the documentary, but they stayed in their car. So for her, she was on a balcony, but for the viewers, it was like basically a drive-through movie. So it was a really cool setup. Kim Kardashian actually stopped by the premiere. Kim was allowed to get out of her car and actually go and pose for a few photos, but they were wearing masks with Demi, and a really cool event. Also a little bit of a treat for the people who were there for the documentary. Demi actually performed, so they got to see a Demi Lovato performance. But in 2021, when we're still dealing with COVID, I think it was a very COVID-friendly premiere. That was actually a pretty cool idea.
That is cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, there is the sweetest cat ever behind you. I just had to point out that cone. That is amazing.
Yeah. So can I explain?
Yes.
It's not a fashion statement. It is, but it's not only. He has a cut on his ear, so he can't. He's not supposed to get to it. So that's why he's wearing that.
Well,
Kelly,
of course,
Kenny's.
Yeah, of course, Jenny's got great style. We don't have style for our dogs or cats.
No, our cats, no. Hey, Michael, quick question, because he brought up a good point. I have an inside Hollywood question. Do you know the answer to this? Back before COVID, when celebrities would go to premieres, all these huge stars walking the carpet, did they actually stay to watch the movie, or do they just do the red carpet and leave?
Some do and some don't. Yeah, some don't stay, some leave. But it depends. I think it depends who it is. It depends if they're a big star. It depends how many premieres they've had in their lives. If they're new and they're young in the industry, I think you get excited about something like that. Yeah. But if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Robert De Niro, I think you've been through a million of those premieres, and you probably just want to get home and sit in your sweatpants and watch television.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask him since he's here. He knows. I didn't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a good question. All right, there's another big fight coming up.
There is. This one's going to sound like a throwback to decades ago. Mike Tyson says that he is fighting Evander Holyfield. So Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, remember, in the 90s, they were huge rivals of one another. They fought twice. Evander won both. Remember, in 1997, that's the fight where Mike Tyson bit a piece of Evander Holyfield's ear off during the fight and spit it on the canvas floor. Mike lost that fight. Believe it or not, the guys have actually since then become pretty good friends, and they have decided that they are going to fight in May in Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium. Now, it's a little tricky because it was only 2 days ago that Evander Holyfield told us, his lawyer told me, that we were negotiating with Mike, but Mike he won't agree to the terms. He wants too much money. Evander's people said, I offered him $25 million guaranteed to do the fight, and he still wanted more money. So Evander's side said the talks had broken down, and then 2 days later, Mike Tyson announces the deal is done. So I guess the deal is done. I guess they have worked out what needed to be worked out, and I think this should be a big fight. Look, it's Evander's 58, Mike's 54, so past their prime boxing-wise, but two huge names. Boxing rivalry, so I think it'll probably do well. People will watch this despite their age.
Can I just say one thing? I think in that contract should have been that Mike is not going to bite his other ear off.
You're right. Well, Kelly, maybe it is. It would probably be a good idea for Evander's people.
That's scary. I'm scared for.
Now,
he's a different guy now.
Okay,
Mike is,
okay.
But didn't Mike Tyson put that part of his ear on eBay and sold it?
What?
I'm just kidding.
I'm
just kidding.
That might have been a hoax.
I'm just kidding.
That was shocking. I bet you, yeah, Jeremy.
He did spit it out right on the canvas, though.
That grosses me out to no end.
I tell you, this will be a big fight. A lot of people will watch this.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Mike did this a couple months ago. He fought a guy named Roy Jones Jr., who was another all-time great boxer, and that was a big event. And those two guys didn't even have a rivalry. So imagine now Mike with his old rival Evander. It should be good.
I love that Michael, you said, they're past their prime boxing-wise. I still would not want to box either one of them.
Oh no!
I still couldn't do it.
No.
Oh.
And if you see them, Jeremy, they are in great shape.
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah, they don't. They don't look like the normal 58-year-old that you would imagine in your head. These guys are muscle on top of muscles, and they're ready to go. They're scary.
Yeah, they are.
I would not take the salary for the winner for one punch of either one of those guys.
I'd be dead.
I would be dead.
You're right.
I would be
They
dead.
could kill you.
They would.
I might take the chance just because if it is $25 million, that's obviously life-changing money. But yeah, they could kill you with the
It could
punch.
be life-changing or lights out.
Yeah.
Right, if you survive the punch.
Yeah.
You'll never see the money.
Right. What else do you have, Michael?
So this is a pretty sweet story. So before Alex Trebek passed away, he and his wife actually made a $500,000 donation, and what they wanted to do was help fight the homelessness epidemic that we have here in LA. It's one of the real problems that LA is facing. There are a lot of homeless people. You can't drive down the street anymore without seeing a camp on the street, and it's really unfortunate. And Alex wanted to try and fix that, so he donates $500,000, and that $500,000 is basically the catalyst for this group called the Valley Rescue Mission, to then end up raising like $8 million for a new facility. They actually got this big roller skating rink that wasn't in operation anymore, and they're going to turn it into a transitional space. So it'll be a transitional space from people who are homeless, who are on the street. They go to this place, which they're going to call the Trebek Center, before they can find permanent housing. So, very cool. It's a really big space, 23,000 square feet, and they are going to break ground in May, and then, in about a year or so, they should have this facility ready to go. But
hey, Michael,
again,
I do want to tell you something quickly that we have here in Springfield that you might suggest to your LA people. We have something in Springfield called Eden Village, which is a tiny home community for the disabled homeless, and basically they take old trailer parks, get rid of them, put tiny homes, and have disabled veterans live in there. And it's all the community coming together to donate money to help these people. It's really worked. We have 2 locations in our town, and it's really helped our homelessness situation here in Springfield.
Yeah, that sounds great. It's a real problem here. It's one of the things coming from where I came from on the East Coast, and didn't really have a homeless problem there, and then coming out here, it's really eye-opening, and you obviously feel so sad that there are so many people living on the street. So that sounds great, though, Jeremy, and again, this Alex Trebek donation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad they're doing
a lot of
that.
people. So it's a real positive thing.
Well, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Once again, you've made our Wednesday.
We love you.
You and your cats and Jenny. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Okay.
All right, you can catch TMZ weekdays at 5 p.m. and TMZ Live weeknights at 12:30 a.m. Don't go anywhere. We're going to play Name That Tune right after this.
Yes, we are.
Let's turn the end of tune.